Okay, now you're all getting the. There we go. There we go. All right.
There goes all my keys. Yay, my keys worked.
Woo.
Oh crap, I hear Janine like 3 times now. There we go.
That is way more
I
than
always forget
anyone
I have this thing on now where it lets me like make sure it's live, and so if I don't click the button, I hear Janine like 3 times.
Live monitoring. Oh my.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Let's see. Let me make sure.
It's like that mirror on mirror thing.
Okay.
Everyone stand by.
Right.
I think we're going to have some music to introduce us next time.
Right. What does that show? Okay. In 3, 2, 1.
And good evening, everyone in the known universe, because we are everywhere tonight. This is the Aira Explorer call for June 2021. I'm Janine Stanley. I'm your Director of Communications for Aira. And we have here tonight with me Ryan Bishop, the Wizard of Networking, who has us on. How many networks are we on tonight, Ryan?
Oh my goodness, let's see.
A lot.
We are on Clubhouse. We are on. So that's not me. So you can't give me all the credit. But we are on Clubhouse. We are on Facebook, our Aira Facebook page. We are on Twitch. We are on YouTube. We are on Zoom. I mean, everywhere. We're everywhere tonight.
Everywhere in the known universe. So we are excited to come to you with tonight's call. And also joining us tonight are Troy Attilio, our CEO. Hello, Troy.
Hello, everybody.
Hey. And we have Agent Kyle with us tonight for a very special presentation here after the meat of our call. We are going to have some fun learning tonight. Hi, Kyle.
Hello, welcome, everybody. Glad to be here.
Hey. And I have been asked for someone to describe the lovely banner that I have behind me this evening, because it is quite a spectacular banner made by one of our agents for us to use during Pride Month. So, Kyle, you want to take a crack at this banner?
Yeah, for sure. So this is the redesigned Pride flag that has recently gone viral. So the right half of the flag has, from top to bottom, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple horizontal stripes. And then entering the screen from the left side is almost looks like an arrow that comes to a point, and that has white, pink, light blue, brown, and black stripes. And then it has the Aira logo overlaid on top of that, with the Aira logo being at the crux of the point, and then Aira in line with the stripes behind it. And this is a redesign of the Pride flag, like I said, and that is adding the extra colors to represent the queer and trans identities of Black and Brown people. And also the 2 stripes represent people living with HIV and AIDS, and also people who have passed away from the virus and the overall stigma around HIV and AIDS. So it is a fully encompassing, very bright, colorful flag symbolizing more inclusivity.
It is gorgeous, and I think inclusivity has been our theme over the past year here. Well, it's always our theme at Aira, because that's what we do. We help you be included in everything that's going on. So thank you so much, Agent Emma, for designing this, grabbing this, and putting our logo. And we all have this to share at Aira, and you'll see it on our social media posts this month. We had the pleasure, before I turn it over to Troy, of working on a project with the Blind Pride International Organization, and the NYC Historic LGBT Sites Organization. And that is up on our YouTube page, and we will be sharing links to that in our social media throughout the month as well. So, Troy, hello
Yeah.
there.
Hello.
So, what's going on at Aira?
Well,
Not
first
much.
let's say, yeah, I'm sitting here in my house here in San Diego, and I'm reflecting on the fact that we're headed into summer, right? Like, it's, spring is over, and gosh, here in California, like literally today, a lot of the restrictions have been lifted, right? So there's just a lot of change going on. My wife's a middle school math teacher. She's done with school, and she now focuses on her hobby of she's a butterfly farmer. We can talk about that at a separate time, but that's her passion. But it's yeah, it's interesting because we, especially the CEO, I have a lot of insights into what our customers do because we take stats on all those calls. The agents take notes on after every session. We kind of categorize things like, was it a navigation call? Was it reading? Was it what task took place? How long did it take? So with all that, and then the insights we get from agents, when talking to their managers. And so it's I think it's the most awesome company on the planet, of course, but it is so interesting because we get some insights that I don't think others would have. And what I can say that is happening is you can see more activity. You can see some shift. It's small, but some shift from online to outdoor navigation. That's very clear. You can see people making plans for summer. There's a lot more travel planning. There's just more planning. So the online tasks are around, anticipating going places, doing things. It's small, but we're also seeing we obviously have a lot of college students, right? So there's a lot of colleges that have decided to deploy Aira for their students and their staff, and we can see, you can see a lot of usage went up. Presumably, people like prepping for tests, and then what we'd expect is a little bit less now, I guess, through summer. Although some people go to summer school, so I just want to reflect on I hope everyone is cautiously optimistic like I am about some of the return to the life that we loved before COVID, right? And yeah, so I'll just stop there. I think
I cannot wait to go through an airport. I gotta tell you, I can't wait.
I gotta say, you talk about things opening up again. I do a lot of the, I was doing a lot of activity stuff and networking for places that we're going to be at this in the upcoming year. And it's so fun to watch these conventions that Aira is starting to do again. And I saw just the other day when I was doing some convention planning that there are some that are actually going to be back in person this year. And I can't believe it. Like, it just seems like, and I feel like, I gotta say, I don't feel like there's ever not going to be a virtual part to these conventions anymore. But I think that you're going to see that these hybrid conventions come up now where there's going to be these in-persons and then there's going to be the virtuals. But I think it's so interesting and so nice to see just the opening up of the world again and getting to, go back to where things were pre-COVID. It feels good to be back.
Yeah. I think that's worth mentioning too, Ryan, and I know I'm probably preaching to the crowd, but I think it's important to recognize that, you talk about inclusivity and access, a lot of conventions in the past, I'm not going to name any, but you could only participate if you had the time, money, and ability to be there, and you got there and it was awesome, right? But this last year, I think was some of the most interesting conventions in
the largest and interesting.
Yeah, largest. Oh, yeah. And then even if you think about the booth experience, so if any of you have been to an Aira booth at a convention, it's very exciting.
Yes.
But
a lot going on.
It's a lot going on. It's very noisy, and you can't hear others if you're not within earshot. If you're not literally able to reach the person talking, if you can't reach out, and I'm a little hard of hearing, you can't track, but if
you're not face to face, literally, if you
yes.
but but I think what I learned last time was now you had a situation where, much like on Clubhouse, people would effectively come to the stage or be on the mic one by one, and everyone could listen and everyone played off each other. So I'm really hopeful that, the hybrid in that way is here to stay. Of course, this is a great call for us, and we're not going to stop like this format, because I think this is a great time to either share and listen to our customers. But I do think the conference season's upon us, and that's going to be fun for those who are into that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, Ryan, I'm going to turn the program over to you as our product manager. You have some folks to introduce, or at
I
least one of
do.
your team to introduce, and a couple things coming up. And then we're going to talk about, speaking of conventions, we're going to talk NFB this time
Yeah, I
around.
might just jump into that too a little bit. Like I'm excited for that one. Like guys, being product manager at Aira, there's a lot of things like coming to these calls. I look forward to announcing, I'll save those big announcements for upcoming Explorer calls. But one thing that I really like announcing is new people. I think at Aira we grow not just in explorers, but in people every day, and it brings me great pleasure to work with every single one of these people. There's so many wonderful, great people. You get from all over the world, from explorers to Aira employees. And just recently, we put out an application for a software engineer. And we talked about it on Clubhouse. We talked about it here. We talked about it all over the place. And we found our software engineer, and I'd like to introduce everybody to Irene, who has joined the Aira team. She is working with us as of now. She's actually here today, and I want to give Irene just some time to introduce herself, get to say hello to all the explorers out there. Irene, there's tons of people that are here checking us out right now, and it's we're super glad to have you and look forward to working with you more. So let you introduce yourself and tell us, well, I guess the biggest question we answer on these calls: why Aira?
Hello, everybody. I'm really glad to join Aira. I've been with the company for almost a month for now. It's definitely a fantastic company. I like the product a lot. And yes, Ryan asked, why Aira? I joined Aira because of the product and because of a mission. As a software engineer, I want to do something good. I want to help people live their daily lives and so on and so forth. Before joining Aira, I've been working in the medical industry as a software engineer for 8 years, basically for the same reason. So I really like a mission that Aira has. I really like how and for whom we are making the software and we are providing the services.
Absolutely. And so one really great thing about having Irene here, along with seeing some new changes to Aira, is that you might see some changes to one of our applications that we have as well. So stay tuned for that. Looking forward to sharing some of those announcements with you guys coming up, and getting to really get into more of the changes that we've been looking forward to. But with that being said, if you want to hear more about changes upcoming in July, because as Troy mentioned, summer's here, and in summer is really convention season for all of us as we know it, starting in July, and that starts with the NFB convention, and I believe those dates this year are 6th to the 10th.
Yep,
it was the 11th, and I almost said it, and then it went down to the 10th, and and we have a pretty big play here this year for the conventions. Not only are we in the exhibit hall, but we do have 2 sessions that we'll be taking part in. One of our sessions, I'm really excited to have it. For many years now, we've done this, and I had to keep the trend going. And so I'll just, before the agenda comes out, tell you guys that way you can mark it off on the 7th of July at, I believe it's 10:30. 10:30 Pacific. What is that? 1:30 Eastern. Yep.
Yep,
Is
1:30
our
Eastern.
if the world was flat. Is our Aira product roadmap session. Now, I will give everybody a second for that one. What we're going to do here is we're going to introduce our entire engineering team, and then go over really what's happening at Aira, and then give you guys a taste of what our product roadmap looks like for the next couple of months. So what will you see coming at Aira? What should you be expecting from us in the next couple of months, to the next few months up to a year? And then also really getting involved in our design sessions with our UX designer, Camille, who I know you've all met on this call before as well.
Many of you have, yes.
And many of you have been working with her recently. So we are adding some changes, some upcoming changes that you should start seeing here in the next, I would say, about a week or so, that you should see to really make your call experiences better, and really get yourself just as part of Aira. And I know a lot of you have been doing a lot of testing with Camille on different apps, different app layouts, and we really appreciate that. You'll get to hear more about those testing, those design sessions at this session. You'll get to learn how you can help with our designs, and then really get to be a part of just what Aira is going to be for the next few months. So really excited for that session. And then Janine, we have another session, right?
I believe we do. Now, I'm going to talk about the booth. Actually, our other session, I believe, is at the ACB convention. I think that might be the one you're thinking of with Kevin and I. We're going to be talking
Yep,
about.
that's the one I was talking about.
That's the one. That's the one that's going to be at ACB. Oh, no, wait. It is going to be at NFB
No, there's one
too.
at
I'm
NFB.
doing the,
Yeah,
I was going to say. It's the road show. What city are we in? What day is it?
Yep.
But yes, that will be Kevin Phelan and I are going to be talking about how to get Aira access locations in your area and what it means to be an Aira access location, and how you, the explorers, play a really big part in that, and how organizations like ACB and NFB particularly can help us to, generate interest in the access locations, use of them, etc. So we'll be talking about that, and I don't have the time yet for when that will be. I am waiting on a time for that one, but that will be at both conventions. So if you miss it once, never fear. Now, you do have to be registered for the NFB convention, right, Ryan, to be able to get to all of this goodness?
That is correct. So you do have to be registered to the NFB convention to get access. Registration is still open. Now, I will say, if you did not register by now, you will not be able to vote in any of the convention sessions. But you are still able to register for the convention. The convention registration is free this year. And it is remote and on Zoom. You can do that by going to nfb.org/convention. I will post that in all of our chats here for everyone.
Awesome.
The NFB convention, again, is on the 6th through the 10th. And then the ACB convention is the 16th through the 23rd.
Yes, 16th through the 23rd. So we have literally a week in between, but wait, there's more, because on the 14th, 15th, and 16th of that week, Aira will be at Disability Inn. So if you are in the corporate world and you are involved with disability and inclusion in the workforce, things like that, Disability Inn is a huge corporate conference for those kinds of things. And we have a lot of friends there that we are very happy to know about. And if you're attending that conference, you will be able to take advantage of Aira as an accommodation there, because we are providing Aira free for conference attendees at Disability Inn. So get excited about that. And I believe we may hear from one of our Starbucks partners who will be speaking there. And then we go from the 16th to the 23rd with ACB. Kevin and I will be repeating our workshop at ACB, and we will have our booth. Now, this year in the booth, we're going to have some activities for you. So we'll be publishing a schedule for both conventions. And you may say, well, why are we talking about NFB at this call? Because we do have an Explorer call in between the two conventions. We're changing up the time a little bit for July. So we'll tell you about that at the end. But we will have some fun booth activities. And who knows, we may even have prizes. Anything is possible at this point. I did hear a rumor of agents describing TikTok dances. Yes.
I heard a rumor about that too. So
I'm a little scared about that, but
I do want to say because there was some questions last year on how people can get updates on our NFB, what's happening with us. So I do want to kind of go into it a little bit, and we can share it. So I do want to say it. And when you register for NFB this year, you will get access to. Not right away, but they'll send you out a link probably about a week before the convention. I believe it came out last time for what they call their Crowd Compass page. In this is where you will access your exhibit hall for the conventions. We update our Crowd Compass page daily during convention. Now, most people don't do that. We will. So you'll find Aira underneath the Crowd Compass page, and then under that we'll have our list, our scheduled stuff for the day. And I guarantee you that will change a lot. We have a lot of stuff going on with the exhibit hall this year. There's so many things. I mean, agents describing TikTok videos, agents, as always, special agents every hour. I mean, stuff changes, right? Like, you never know what agents you're going to get.
Well, and since the conventions were going to be held in New Orleans and Phoenix, respectively, we are going to do a couple tours and check out a couple places in New Orleans and Phoenix with our agents, which should be a lot of fun. So we are going to do that. And
Janine asked me to pull this up.
Oh,
So I do have it. The exhibit hall hours for this year's NFB convention.
Okay.
I had to dig hard to find this, so I had to share it. So for those of you that want to know, this year for NFB, the exhibit hall hours where Aira will be available will be July 6th from 9 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. July 7th from 9 to 5 Eastern Standard Time. July 8th from 9 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. And then July 9th from 9 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. And then July 10th from 9 to 12 Eastern Standard Time. So as you guys can see, no really late rooms this time.
No.
But we are there all 5 days. So look at that. That's new.
Yep, we will definitely be there.
But all those days, all those times, you can catch us. And then, of course, at our sessions as well.
Absolutely.
And Janine,
yes.
I have to ask, like you mentioned the city, I'm not really familiar with it. I think you called it New Orleans.
Oh, Nolans. Sorry, Nolans. Sorry. Nola.
Someone born in that city, I just have to tease people.
Oh, sorry.
I gotta say, I'm a little sad that we're not doing in-person New Orleans.
I know. Can you imagine the fun we would have had?
Goodness.
This crew would have had in New Orleans. Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
She almost said it again.
I know I did. I almost did. Well, it's like Louisville. I mean, come on. You don't say Louisville. It's Louisville. Oh, my.
You're forgetting that way. I just have I have fun with that one.
Yeah, well, we also have some partners in the travel agency, Troy, that are going to be possibly helping us with some of these descriptions of places and particularly accessible travel. So that's going to be fun, too.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, now I do not have the dates for this one, so pardon me for that, but we are also going to be live in person at a conference that's live and in person, and that's the AHEAD conference, and that will be at the end of July. I want to say it's the 23rd through the 25th, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not sure. Anyway, Kevin Phelan will be there, so if you are a college administration professional or if you are a student and you maybe do some work with disability services, AHEAD is their conference, and Kevin will be there live and in person. And that will be pretty exciting. Our first live conference in what? Oh my gosh, 2 years? Yeah, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot, but we are very excited. And for those of you who are planning your fall convention schedules, we're probably going to keep those virtual for a bit if you're doing virtual, kind of add-ins to your convention. However, we are planning for next year, and guess what we already got? We already got the material for CSUN, right? Right, Ryan?
We do.
Oh yeah. So that will be coming before you know it, and it will most likely, fingers crossed, be an in-person event next year. So we hope to see a lot of you there, and that will be huge, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's take, before we get into our other segment tonight, we want to hear from a few people.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah,
right,
let's do it.
see. Let's see who we have out here in our Zoom audience. Oh, look at that. Yeah, we got a lot of people. So throw up your hands and we will grab you. Well, okay, we won't grab you. No grabbing. Oh, this is what happens when I don't have my evening caffeine. All right, so Ryan, who do we? I'm gonna.
So go to Clubhouse first, and then we'll go.
Okay, great. Let's go to Clubhouse. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
We do not have any hands at
No
the
hands.
moment, but
Oh, guys. The lovely Shay Bishop is our Clubhouse person. And so please raise your hand to speak in Clubhouse. We would love to bring you on because that would be like a first for our Clubhouse folks to be on one of our calls. So that's pretty exciting. And I miss being on Clubhouse. I don't have any time these days. Darn, because it's a fun group of people. We have office hours on Clubhouse every Monday at 2 p.m. You can join us for office hours. And there is now a pretty reliable and accessible app for Windows and Mac called Club Deck. And that is a great app. So.
oh, and we now have a hand.
All right.
So, second, we do have Elizabeth. I will let you speak here.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Okay, and we have to accept that, but then you should be good.
All right. So yeah, and we are also playing a number of our museum episodes on Clubhouse from time to time, so stay tuned for those as well. And there's Elizabeth Campbell, hopefully.
I think we are waiting.
It's a little interesting to unmute people on Clubhouse, like
Yes,
you'll say.
we had this problem
Yeah,
on
this
Monday
looks
too.
hard.
There she is.
Oh, there we go.
Hi,
I'm
Elizabeth.
sorry, Hi there. How you doing, Janine?
Awesome. Good to hear from you. And how are things in Texas with the quarantine?
Well, we are very much opened up now, and
Ooh.
and I've actually been back to my office once. I went yesterday, and we'll probably start going in more often now that we got the go-ahead that if we're vaccinated, you can come on back to the office if you want to. So
Oh, wow.
we'll probably be utilizing Ira to help me with we've had a lot of changes in downtown Fort Worth as far as, restaurants that are no longer open,
Oh.
coffee places that are not there anymore. I have to learn some new things.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do just really quickly is that Ira was a lifesaver for me twice at the Denver airport on a recent trip I took to Colorado. So I really appreciate the free access location there because on my trip on my landing in Denver, there were no assistance folks available. Well,
Oh,
there were, but they were wanting to take somebody who needed a wheelchair, and they told me, "Well, you'll just have to wait. We don't know when when we'll be able to come back for you." And I said, "Well, I have somebody meeting me at baggage claim. I need to get there kind of quickly." So I thought, then I remembered that Ira had the access at the airport. I thought, I am just going to utilize Ira. So with my seeing eye dog Barbara, we made it to baggage claim with no assistance whatsoever.
all right.
It was great.
Yay.
The agent was fantastic, and having that GPS as well as the access to the maps in the airport, I think really were very helpful. So I just wanted to send a big thank you. And then Ira also helped on the return trip because my flight was delayed and I had to find a pet relief area for Barbara. And so Ira was right on the money to help me. So
Oh, awesome. That
appreciate
is
it.
great. And we will relay that to the agent team because I know we're going to be doing more and more of that. And folks, if you are wondering, most of our airports, in fact, I think just about all of our airports are still IRA access locations that were before the pandemic. They just said, you know what, this is worth it, and we're sticking with it. And so, be ready to go back to the airport. So, that's great. And thank you for joining us tonight. Whoa. So do we have anybody in our Zoom audience, Ryan? Oh, I'm sure we have many in our Zoom audience. Let's see. Oh.
Let me go ahead and see who we have in our Zoom audience. My apologies, I was here. So
No
go ahead.
worries, no worries. He's juggling, that emoji of person juggling colored balls. Well, hello there.
Skylar, to say about Skylar, I enjoy reading. You post some very interesting experiences and Facebook posts that you have, and I do enjoy reading them, Skylar. I really do. So welcome to the call.
Yeah, definitely. Welcome, Skylar.
Well, thank you. I just try to always share my experiences because I feel like maybe they can benefit other people sometimes, and it's just fun to talk about IRA all the time. So I just wanted to say I'm looking forward to the NFB convention and ACB as well, and the thing about the what did you call it? The roadmap for what was that you said? The thing about learning about new upcoming IRA stuff. That sounds really cool. I'm always interested in that. And I also wanted to say last night I worked with an agent who was fairly new and he was just really great. He told me, I think he had done like 2 or 3 navigation calls because we got on that topic. And he said he's still a little bit nervous about those, but he said that he just thinks he needs more time to do them and get more comfortable with them. And I was having him, so I'm at my sister's house right now, and I wanted to know about the oven and the stove. Like, for one, when you turn on the oven, when you try to change the temperature, what the increments are that it changes, like in degrees,
yes.
5 or 10 or however many it goes up and down by. So that was nice. And then for the stove, the burner situation, because it was just one big flat piece of glass or whatever it is. It's just a flat thing. So I was like, well, where are the burner, boundaries, I guess you'd call it. Like, how do I know if I'm on the right one? And so he went online and looked up the model of oven that I was working with and told me about the knobs and which sides of the surface they controlled.
Oh, great.
So that was really nice. And then we got on the topic of just IRA in general, and he told me that he's fairly new. But I just he did a really great job. And he didn't even, if he hadn't told me that he was new, I don't think I would have really known, just because he seemed very comfortable and just was doing a really great job. So I just wanted to pass that along. His name was Zach.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was a great experience last night with the newer agent. So I just thought I would pass that along to everyone.
Great. See, this is fantastic. We love that the agent love you guys have. And with that, I wanted to say, Kyle, we are still hiring agents, correct?
Yes, we currently are still hiring agents. So if you know of anybody that would be awesome at everything that's been talked about, airport navigation and navigating around town and descriptions, working thermostats and other appliances, and any other really cool trait or character, like we'd be happy to have them. They can always go to ira.io/r-agents. And then that will get them to the agent site where they could apply.
Yeah, and that's OUR-agents. And so have folks, and I will put that in our Facebook group because we had a couple people asking on the Facebook group. So I will put that out in that particular group, that particular address for folks. And please, have your friends go there because we need some great agents, and we have some great agents. We have lots of new folks who are getting their feet wet and diving right in. And I think this weekend I probably had a million agents helping me finish up some chores around the house and building lawn furniture and all kinds of things. So yeah, it was very interesting. And so let's see. I think we can take probably one more, unless we have any comments out there from YouTube or Facebook. If you have any questions, you can throw them up there. And if we do not get to you tonight, we will get to you immediately tomorrow. We will check back into the comments, and if there's something you need an answer to, we'll be happy to get that for you. But let's see. Do we have anybody else on Clubhouse, Shay?
Let's take a look. I'm so lost at chapter 5.
Raise hands button.
Okay, no worries. No worries. See, everyone is just enthralled by us, I know. Well, hang in there, folks, because you're going to get a chance to share some fun later on here. Let's see, we'll do one more from the Zoom, and then we can move on to some fun, something else fun and interesting.
All right, let's go to Gina. You sure we have time for that? It's already almost 40.
Oh, well then. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna jump. All right.
Yeah.
See, time gets away from us here. I'm telling you. Okay, so we're gonna jump to our presentation tonight, and we are very proud to be giving you a presentation tonight about Juneteenth. And I'm sure you've probably heard a lot about Juneteenth, including yesterday, the Senate's unanimous passing of a proclamation to make Juneteenth a national holiday. Now, we're kind of hoping that by Saturday, this is actually going to be a thing. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's how quickly Congress works, but we were very happy to see that become a federal holiday. I'm sure it's going to. I don't see any way that won't happen. But what is Juneteenth? A lot of us first started hearing about it maybe last year. I, amazingly enough, began to learn about Juneteenth in elementary school. I think it was mentioned once by one teacher, and then I never heard about it again until I went to, I was working at a community radio station, and we happened to broadcast the local Black newspaper, the Call and Post for Columbus, Ohio, and they had Juneteenth stories in there. And that's when I heard about it, but then years passed and I never heard any more. And I thought, wow, I wonder if that's still a thing. Well, it is a thing, but let's find out though, where did this thing come from? And I'm going to introduce Kyle Kozlowski here. Kyle is one of our agents, and he is also on our group that is heading up an initiative here at Aira to connect more with our minority community, with our underserved community, and to promote people of color throughout both Aira and just life in general. So, hey, Kyle.
Thank you, Janine. That was a great introduction. I appreciate it. I'll send a check in the mail today.
Yeah. Well, it'll be the first of many because we've got some really cool stuff you're going to hear about after we hear about the history of Juneteenth here.
Yeah, so I wanted to take a minute because I think it is important to read it out loud for all to hear. This is, I would say, like a quick synopsis of what Juneteenth means, the historical aspect, and how it's evolved throughout the years. So I'm going to be about a 10-minute read here, full of great information, and then we'd love to have a little discussion after. So. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. It dates back to 1865, and it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers, led by Major General Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. Note that this was 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official January 1st of 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation had little impact on the Texans due to the minimal number of Union troops to enforce the new executive order. However, with the surrender of General Lee in April of 1865 and the arrival of General Granger's regiment, the forces were finally strong enough to influence and overcome the resistance. Later attempts to explain this 2.5 year delay in the receipt of this important news have yielded several versions that have been handed down throughout the years. Often told is the story of a messenger who was murdered on his way to Texas with the news of freedom. Another is that the news was deliberately withheld by the enslavers to maintain the labor force on the plantations. And still another is that federal troops actually waited for the slave owners to reap the benefits of one last cotton harvest before going to Texas to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. So all of which, or none of these versions could be true, but certainly for some, President Lincoln's authority over the rebellious states was in question. Whatever the reasons, conditions in Texas remained status quo well beyond what was statutory. One of General Granger's first orders of business was to read to the people of Texas the General Order Number 3, which began most significantly with, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor." The reactions to this profound news ranged from pure shock to immediate jubilation. While many lingered to learn of this new employer and employee relationship, many left before these offers were completely off the lips of their former masters, attesting to the varying conditions on the plantations and the realization of freedom. Even with nowhere to go, many felt that leaving the plantation would be their first grasp of freedom. North was a logical destination, and for many, it represented true freedom, while the desire to reach family members in neighboring states drove some into Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Settling into these new areas as free men and women brought on new realities and challenges of establishing a heretofore non-existent status for Black people in America. Recounting the memories of that great day in June of 1865 and its festivities would serve as motivation as well as a release from the growing pressures encountered in their new territories. The celebration of June 19th was coined Juneteenth and grew with more participation from the descendants. The Juneteenth celebration was a time for reassuring one another, for praying, and for gathering remaining family members. Juneteenth continued to be highly revered in Texas decades later, with many former slaves and descendants making an annual pilgrimage back to Galveston on this date. Now I'm going to talk about the festivities and the food. So there are a range of activities that were provided to entertain the masses, many of which continue in tradition today. So there were rodeos, fishing, barbecuing, and baseball, just to name a few of the typical Juneteenth activities that you may witness. Juneteenth almost always focused on education, though, and self-improvement. So thus, guest speakers were often brought in, and the elders were called upon to recount the events of the past. And prayer services were also a major part of these celebrations. Certain foods became popular and subsequently synonymous with Juneteenth celebrations, such as strawberry soda pop. More traditional and just as popular was the barbecuing, through which Juneteenth participants could share in the spirit and aromas that their ancestors, the newly emancipated African Americans, would have experienced during their ceremonies. So the barbecue pit is often established as the center of attention at Juneteenth celebrations. Food was abundant because everyone prepared a special dish. Meats such as lamb, pork, and beef, which were not available every day, were brought on this special occasion. A true Juneteenth celebration left visitors well satisfied and with enough conversation to last until the next. Dress was also an important element in early Juneteenth customs and is often still taken seriously, particularly by the direct descendants who can make the connection to this tradition's roots. During slavery, there were laws on the books in many areas that prohibited or limited the dressing of the enslaved. During the initial days of the emancipation celebrations, there are accounts of former slaves tossing their ragged garments into creeks and rivers and adorning themselves with clothing taken from the plantations belonging to their former masters. And in the early years, little interest existed outside the African American community in participation in the celebrations. In some cases, there was outwardly exhibited some resistance by barring the use of public property for the festivities. Most of the festivities found themselves out in rural areas around rivers and creeks that could provide for additional activities such as fishing, horseback riding, and barbecues. Often, church grounds were the site for such activities as well. Eventually, as African Americans became landowners, land was donated and dedicated for these festivities. One of the earliest documented land purchases in the name of Juneteenth was organized by Reverend Jack Yates. This fundraising effort yielded $1,000 and made possible the purchase of Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas. In Mexia, the local Juneteenth organization purchased Booker T. Washington Park, which had become the Juneteenth celebration site in 1898. There are accounts of Juneteenth activities being interrupted and halted by white landowners demanding that their laborers return to work. However, it seems most allowed their workers the day off, and some even made donations of food and money. For decades, these annual celebrations flourished, growing continuously with each passing year. In Booker T. Washington Park, as many as 20,000 African Americans once attended during the course of a week, making the celebration one of the largest in the state. Economic and cultural forces, however, led to a decline in Juneteenth activities and participants beginning in the early 1900s. Classroom and textbook education, in lieu of traditional home and family taught practices, stifled the interest of the youth due to less emphasis and detail on the lives of former slaves. Classroom textbooks proclaimed Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation of January 1st, 1863, as the date signaling the end of slavery and mentioned little or nothing of the impact of General Granger's arrival on June 19th. The Depression forced many people off the farms and into cities to find work, and in these urban environments, employers were less eager to grant leaves to celebrate this date. Thus, June 19th fell, if it did fell on a weekend or a holiday, there would be celebrations, but without that, there were very few participants. July 4th was already established as the independence holiday and had a rise in patriotism, steered more people towards that celebration. However, the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s yielded both positive and negative results for the Juneteenth celebrations. While it pulled many of the African American youth away and into the struggle for racial equality, many linked these struggles to the historical struggles of their ancestors. This was evidenced by student demonstrators involved in Atlanta civil rights campaign in the early 1960s who wore Juneteenth freedom buttons. Again, in 1968, Juneteenth received another strong resurgence through the Poor People's March to Washington, D.C., that Reverend Ralph Abernathy's call for people of all races, creeds, economic levels, and professions come to Washington to show support for the poor. Many of these attendees returned home and initiated Juneteenth celebrations in areas previously absent of such activities. In fact, two of the largest Juneteenth celebrations were founded after this march and are now held in Milwaukee and Minneapolis. And on January 1st of 1980, Juneteenth became an official state holiday through the efforts of Al Edwards, an African-American state legislator. The successful passage of this bill marked Juneteenth as the first emancipation celebration granted official state recognition. And Edwards has since actively sought to spread the observance of Juneteenth all across America. Today, Juneteenth is enjoying a phenomenal growth rate within communities and organizations throughout the country. Institutions such as the Smithsonian, the Henry Ford Museum, and others have begun sponsoring Juneteenth-centered activities. In recent years, a number of local and national Juneteenth organizations have arisen to take place alongside older organizations, all with the mission to promote and cultivate knowledge and appreciation of African American history and culture. So Juneteenth today celebrates African American freedom and achievement, also while encouraging continuous self-development and respect for all cultures. As it takes on a more national and symbolic and even global perspective, the events of 1865 in Texas are not forgotten for all of the roots that tie back to this fertile soil from which a nation or a national day of pride is growing. The future of Juneteenth looks bright as a number of cities and states creating Juneteenth committees continues to increase, and respect and appreciation for all of our differences grow out of exposure and working together. So get involved and go out and support your local community in celebrating Juneteenth. And I know to tack on earlier, I heard the House was going to vote for it today, and I see in the chat that they passed that bill.
I
So
see
now
that.
it is on the way to the president's desk, and that is the perfect end to this week. If it gets there,
gosh.
that will be amazing.
That would be so awesome. And I am sure that President Biden will spare no time in signing that particular bill. So that is just making me smile. So outstanding. We are supporting learning about Juneteenth here at Aira, and you might have heard a familiar name there, the Smithsonian. They are one of our proud access partners, and they have some wonderful programming, especially at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And we did 2 afternoon at the museum shows from there and about that particular museum. But please definitely check them out because they are part of our Smithsonian Museum offer. So you can go, and for 30 minutes at a time, you can learn with an agent on that website, look at documents, look at photos, have them described in more detail maybe than the alt text can provide for you, and watch videos, all sorts of things on that particular website. And you can do that on Saturday, June 19th. Because you can check out many other websites that aren't part of our museum network on that day, because we have a special pop-up offer. This is for Saturday, June 19th, and it will begin, I believe, at 9 a.m. Eastern Time through midnight of that day. And this offer will allow you to make one call of up to half an hour to look at websites, to watch videos, to participate in Juneteenth celebrations in your community, or do volunteer work around Juneteenth in your community. So be watching.
It's actually scheduled to be midnight. It's actually scheduled to be midnight to midnight.
Midnight to midnight. Okay, yep. Awesome. Midnight to midnight.
That way it hits all of our international people as well.
Even better. So yes. All right. And see, I got the man here who sets it up, so.
You get a whole 24 hours.
Sweet. Excellent. And this is an international offer, too. So if you are in another country that we support and you want to hear and learn about what is this and why are people in my country even considering celebrating this, because it has become a global thing. And I think that's only going to grow. So take a look at your community and see what they might be doing for Juneteenth. That said, so Kyle, Ryan, Troy, let's go to the audience. Is anybody out there attending a Juneteenth celebration this weekend? Because I've seen a number of them popping up online. I'm surprised we don't have one here in Columbus yet that I've heard about, but I'm seeing them just all over the place. Lots of them in Texas. I've seen a few in Wisconsin, in Minnesota, in Michigan, New York. Oh my goodness.
You know, Joyce, I saw your message, and I also saw you had your hand up too. Did you have a comment regarding this? I said you put your hand down, but
Yeah, please. If you are, or if you get together with your family as part of Juneteenth, we are going to have a very fun and uplifting but very thoughtful special
Here we
on
go.
Saturday. And here's Joyce. So hello.
Maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah, hi.
There
we
we
go.
go. Hi there.
So Biden's supposed to get home at midnight tonight, and so I'm sure he will sign it by Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as he gets a chance, it will now become a federal holiday,
Wow.
another federal holiday for those that work for the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
There you
Fantastic, which is going to mean a lot of states are probably going to go with it as well. And I know Pennsylvania did recently, made it a state holiday. So really, that's way too exciting and long overdue. And I can't wait to see next year what the festivities will be, given that, this is now been made official at the federal level. What are we going to have? Because I'm thinking, the folks that this time last year in my community were planning a rally for Black Lives Matter, and it was very somber and very, almost sad and whatnot, but it was good that we were all together. Next year, we're going to have fun. I can just see the planners now getting together, and I've got a couple emails to send out, I think, to folks. And hey, are we going to do this next year? Because my little village here in Columbus, we actually have a village barbecue pit, so we're there. I mean,
Got
oh yeah.
We've got not to change topics here, but we got a message I didn't see on YouTube from Ian Peralt. And he was talking about back when we were talking about conventions, and he asked if we were going to do any sort of Ira promos. Like last year, we had Double Up July. So I missed your message, and I had to read it out, Ian.
Yeah, sorry, Ian. I'm not sure. Let's just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Because, as we're getting into more and more things here, I think, as Troy said, usage is creeping up as people are getting more and more active. So
it really is, though, and I'm so excited. Like, I think it's so great, like to come in and, we do these Juneteenth things. We go back to our afternoon at the museum where we hit some pretty amazing and great topics with the afternoon museum sessions.
Yeah.
And there was some really just, even our last one especially, like with Wendell and the Veterans Memorial Museum. Like, there's just so many memories and so many things that you get, especially here, and I love every little bit of it. And I know that this is going to get signed on Saturday, and it'll be a memorial thing to talk about, especially in our promo. There'll be hopefully calls watching him sign it.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Especially if he did it on Saturday, that would be incredible.
Well, I've noticed something that he does that a lot when he signs big bills, is he'll go live on Facebook or live on something, and you get to watch him do a lot of bill signing. I've watched him sign a lot of executive orders that way. And so, it would be really awesome to do, like, use the promo and watch him sign the Juneteenth thing. Yeah.
And even if he does it earlier, you can always watch it on YouTube and get a good description of the whole thing.
There you go.
Sure, it will be there. Well, the other thing that we have is going to take place on Friday, and that's Friday the 18th, and that will be at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and that's our typical afternoon at the museum time. And we're going to have a little discussion. This one's going to be a little bit more serious. A year of reflection. And Kyle, you're going to be there with me, and we'll have a couple other folks from the staff, and we'll have a couple of our explorers, and we're going to kind of take a look back with Stephanie Watts, who was the inspiration behind the afternoon at the museum. She came to us and said, "Can we do this?" And Troy said, "Yes, we can." And we did, and it has now become somewhat legendary. So,
unlike where you'd find that on Zoom, you'll find that on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. So
Yes.
There is not a Zoom link for that
Yeah,
one.
this one we're not having a live Zoom audience for, but we will be on Facebook and on YouTube and probably a couple other places as well. And it will be kind of a
Clubhouse.
panel discussion. And we'll also have Dina Lambert from NASA. You may remember her from our visit to Mars.
That was a great one.
Yep, yeah, that was one of our epic ones. Yep. And Dina will be coming to talk with us, and we're all just going to take a look at where we were this time last year and about our learning processes and where we're going and what we're teaching our children. And so that will be on Friday afternoon. And then our special will premiere on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. I can't believe I've gotten all the times right. That's because I'm not going
good.
like
That was
Australia, New
wonderful. Yeah,
Zealand.
there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
Central.
so-
No, kidding.
Yeah, oh, don't even go there. So, my plan is barbecue that day. A lot of people's plans are barbecue. And
Yeah.
one of the cool things about the special is you're going to hear from some of our agents too about what Juneteenth means to them and their families. And I tried to promise myself I was going to get through producing it without crying, and I didn't. So I think I have cried more since I've come to Aira than in the rest of my life. So, but it's been a good cry. It's been a healthy kind of cry. So it's been a happy thing or a thing that needed to happen. And so that's all good. So, whoever thought, I love my employer, they make me cry. But that's actually
Safe to say that here,
you do, because we really have some of the most caring, conscientious employees anywhere. And thanks to Troy, we're able to exercise that in the things that we do all the time, not just on special days. So,
Definitely.
all right. Anybody have any last words? Anything we want to let folks know about?
I don't think I have anything
Ah.
else, Troy.
Okay, how about Aira Global? If you know
Oh,
someone
yeah.
who is not in our service area and would like to have Aira in their country or their part of the world, please send them to aira.io/global. And there we have a little form up there to fill out, and they can get first dibs on coverage in their area. They can get all the news ahead of time about when Aira is coming to their part of the world. So be sure to share that with folks. And if you want to know more about Juneteenth, you can go to our newsroom, and there's a link there. But there's also a special page, and we have a lot of resources on there, Kyle, that our group put together, and some of them are fun and some of them are very thought-provoking. And so we tell you as you go in there, there are some that may have some trigger warnings for folks, but these are important resources that we found and we think you will appreciate in all of our journeys to be better people.
Yeah, it's a pretty good, I would say, collection of overall views of like historical take, important people in the movement throughout the years. You have different elements of music and dance. There's some things for children on there. So it's pretty whole encompassing.
Yeah, exactly. And we have one of the spots talks about the advocacy that we're all doing and how difficult it can be sometimes. So with that website is Juneteenth/celebration. And that is spelled,
So
folks.
again, Juneteenth-celebration.
Juneteenth-celebration. Yes. And Juneteenth, just in case you are like me and are spelling impaired, it is Juneteenth. And that is how you spell that. And I've seen it, a couple ways from people, and but that is definitely how you spell it. So please visit our website. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Troy, for being here and giving us this opportunity. And we are excited about the future. Thanks to Kyle for joining us.
For sure. And if anybody is in Cleveland, Ohio, Feel free to join Saturday for Cleveland's Juneteenth Freedom Fest.
Oh, you
That is
guys
going to
do
be from
have
12,
one.
12 noon through 10 p.m. with fireworks after, and we have special Grammy Award performance by Terry Lynn Carrington and Social Science. It's
Whoa.
going to be a great time.
I know where
Oh,
to go on
nice.
Saturday. There we go.
I was just gonna say, and I may have to look on YouTube with that Aira offer there. Awesome, cool. Yeah, I haven't seen one for Columbus yet, which is really surprising. But we will see, because I'm sure somebody's got something going on around here. I hope, and I know there is, I believe, one in Cincinnati too that I saw. So Buckeye's got it covered, I think. But anyway, and thank you to Ryan and Shay, who, thanks to these two lovely folks, we have been on all sorts of platforms tonight. Very exciting. And I am Janine Stanley from Aira, and we will say, let me give you the time for the next call. It's Braille calendar time.
And that is
could I
different,
forget?
right, Janine? So we're not
It
doing it on
is,
the
'cause
third
usually,
Wednesday.
yeah,
So
we're not, because that's smack in the middle of the ACB convention. And so July, we are going to be on the 14th of July for our main Explorer call. And for those folks in Australia, New Zealand, and Oceania, we will be on the 12th for their call. But we will be on the 14th of July. We will be
do we
back
know what that topic is yet?
with you.
or-
We're going to be talking. We're going to go over our terms of service, as we do, a couple times a year. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the ACB convention coming up, maybe a little disability in, things that we have from there. Who knows what all we will have in that particular one. So I think there was something you and I had talked about, and now it's like flown out of my head.
Some lowdown from NFB, what happened after we all recovered. I'm sure there's something I know you're talking about too. I just can't remember what it was.
Oh yeah.
So it'll come to me.
maybe a few new features that we'll have. Huh? Maybe we'll see.
Maybe.
We'll
Shall
see.
see.
Well,
Wow, what a way to hint there. Yeah.
I know, we're gonna leave you all cliffhanging now. So yes. Well, thank you all, and we will be here 24/7, 365